What's up, everybody, and welcome in to your NFL pregame show. I'm Rob T. Radio. That's Suckless Grogan. That's Furrow Sterling. And that's none of our actual names, but part of our actual names. I'm Rob. That's Dave. That's Sterling. What's up, everybody? Welcome in for the final bye week Sunday of the NFL. Guys, the season is like almost over. College football season is over. How weird is that? I mean, it flew by. So before we get started, now listen, we got to do a quick one today, which is fine because we only have, I think, 12 games on the slate. But Dave and I got to get out of here because we got a little tailgate party we got to get to. And who knows, maybe Sterling comes up too. But so we're starting drinking early just for the hell of it to describe what that is. And if you're in Denver and a Bills fan and you want to come to Stoney's Uptown and hang out with us, definitely do that. But so we're going to be in and out of here. But before we get started, just real quick, I have to know, and you know, honestly, David, I don't even know how closely you follow college football, but is it SMU or Bama? I mean, that is the big question. Who gets the 12th spot in the college football playoff? The other ones are basically spoken for. You've got SMU and Alabama kind of fighting for that last spot. And Canes have an outside chance, but probably are out. No. Either you have a thought on that?
Man, I thought SMU would show a better game yesterday. I wanted.
Did you watch them?
No, they came back, but it was out of hand at first, and they fought back. And I'm good with SMU getting in. But I know what's going to happen. They're going to let Bama in because they have more money, bigger fan base, more pull for these games. So let's just call it what it is. Bama's going to be the 12th.
SEC, big money team. You see it happening.
Now, but okay, so hold on. So here's the thing, because that is true. But there will come a day where SEC or Big Ten has a championship game loser who would fall out of the CFP bracket. And you can't set the precedent of, hey, if you play in that championship game, you could go from in to out. Because if you do set that precedent, you're going to have teams say, why would I play the championship game? SMU would have just said, I'm going to deny the bid to this championship game because I'm in right now and I don't want to get knocked out. You're going to run into somebody who's on the edge like that saying, why would I play in a conference championship game? I don't need the bye. No?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And college football teams are extremely petty that way.
Yes.
So they're going to have to figure it out to where that
you can't leave happen. SMU out because of that. You can't.
I know, but they love the SEC, man. They love Alabama, Georgia, all those guys.
I know they want Bama in there worse than anything, but
yep.
All right, and then real quick, who's your Heisman right now? David?
Travis. Oh, go ahead.
So I love what Travis has done. It's amazing playing two ways and playing at an all-pro level.
God, don't do it.
And I think he should get it. I don't see why he wouldn't. But an Ashton Genty, like what he's doing is kind of something you don't see. So
I'm giving you a Heisman vote. Who is your Heisman?
Travis Hunter.
He's the best player. He's the best player in college football. That's what it's supposed to be for. He's the best.
And arguably a top 10 at two positions in college football, which
top 5, top 3.
Top 3, yeah. I mean, here's the thing. And I've said to a couple people, I feel bad for Ashton Genty because most other years he is a slam dunk Heisman winner. Like he walks with it. We knew 6 months ago. You know what I mean? Like he's one of those wire to wire Heisman candidate winner kind of guys. But guess what? What he's doing is phenomenal. It happens once every 5-10 years. You have somebody, I think Melvin Gordon was the last one to really rack up numbers like this. So yeah, I mean, it happens once every 5-10 years, something like that. We have literally, in the history of college football, never seen somebody do what Travis Hunter has done this last season, and that is be a top top 2, top 1 player at 2 different positions, and they go, "Oh, snaps aren't it's not about snaps." I mean, if you're talking about that, like Pat Surtain is not the best corner in the NFL. They don't throw at him for a reason, right? And if you watch some of the plays that he makes, he's just physically, athletically dominant over everybody else on the field, which is crazy because he's like 175 pounds. Like it's absolutely nuts. So, all right, that sounds like we're all in agreement. Travis Hunter for the Heisman. All right, let's get into the NFL. We're going to start with a couple betting specials of the day. These games that you probably won't watch unless you have money on them. And we will run through the entire slate. Remember, if you have anything that you want to ask us, you could drop it in the comments. We are always watching those, whether it's questions about who to start in your fantasy, which we should be getting towards playoffs, who you should bet on. If you're still in a survivor pool, you're probably down a whole bunch of teams. Happy to answer your questions there. Just drop it in the comments. We'll talk about whatever you need to talk about. But let's start with the 11 o'clock game, Jacksonville and Tennessee. Jacksonville +3. Of course, you have no Trevor Lawrence in this game. He not only took that absolute wallop to the head,
Brutal.
Which maybe we should talk about for a minute, but also they decided when he had the concussion, was going to be out a couple games anyway, to go ahead and have shoulder surgery that he kind of was probably needing and going to have at the end of the season, if we're being honest, to make sure that he has as much recovery time as possible. So it's Mac Jones at quarterback for the Jaguars and the Titans. Listen, they've been playing better. Levis has been playing better, but it's still not a good watch. Titans -3 at home. Stills, you sounded like you wanted to jump in on the Al-Shaair hit. You got thoughts on that?
It's dirty. And you know what gets me is like when people try to bring religion into it. You know, like I don't know if you guys saw his. Yeah, he made a big long post about, you know, first it was like an apology, and then he felt like he was being, you know, chastised for being a Muslim, and it's like, bro, kill that. No one's coming after you because of your namesake. You hit a quarterback, and you should have just let off of him. And I get it's football, and people are gonna say, well, what is he supposed to do? Well, he's not supposed to clean his clock, and it's like
3 seconds late.
Yeah, and it's, you know, and then it was a whole spectacle afterwards that was just wild in and of itself. I get you have to defend yourself, but Al-Shaair has had a history of dirty hits and dirty play, and it's just caught up to him, and that's all it is.
Some of them have been questionable. Some of them have been dirty. This one was one, and like if you've ever played before, and I hate to say if you've ever played before because I'm not a firm believer in like, oh, if you play, you know, and if you don't, you don't. But what I do believe is, you know, that you can pull up on something like that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so, like, you might still hit him, but it doesn't need to be devastating the way that hit was. That elbow went right for his head. David, what did you think about it?
Yeah, I think about it the way I think about driving a car. Yellow means maybe go a little faster. It wasn't red. It was dark orange. That was a red light. He had plenty of time to move over or roll into it, so he just stopped him from progressing at all. Didn't need to go to the head, didn't need to go forearm to the ground. I mean, that was brutal.
Yeah.
And there's no reason, and I hadn't heard the whole he brought religion into a thing. I hadn't heard that. I just went, yeah, you hit him way late when you could have stopped, but you didn't. And you got ejected and you got suspended. Like, what did you think was going to happen?
Yeah, and like 3 games is a lot, but like you said, Stroll
serves him right.
A little bit of
his
a
first time
there.
And I think, you know, the league is like afraid of another Vontaze Burfict situation, so they're going to come down hard on you, and rightfully so, man. I just thought that was Bush League play.
I did too, and just to kind of wrap up about it, like there's a couple times a year where I see a hit and I can taste it. I don't know if you guys have ever been really fucking smacked before, but like you get like a warm sensation in your mouth. You get that warm saliva. You can I could feel everything that Trevor Lawrence was going through in that moment. The fuzziness, probably blacked out for a second, came back to, had a massive headache, warm saliva in his mouth, and I'm just thinking to myself like, dog, Stay out of the game, please.
You're bringing it back.
Yeah, right. If you've
and
had it before,
like
you know.
And then you feel like your eyes are going to roll in the back of your head, like you're.
Yeah. And all you're thinking that entire time is get up and act like it didn't hurt. Get up and act like it didn't hurt. Get up and act like it didn't hurt. Yeah. All right, so we still have to play a football game today, though. Jacksonville goes to Tennessee, getting 3 points along the way. David, you're going first here?
Yeah, no real injuries on the Jacksonville side outside of, obviously, Trevor Lawrence. And Tennessee's offensive line is kind of banged up right now. Jalen Duncan is out. He's their offensive tackle. And Logan Bruss, their guard, also out. I still think this is going to be the Titans game. I like the Titans defense. And the Jaguars just they don't have it for me. And, you think maybe they come back and play hard without Trevor Lawrence, but I'm going to go the Titans here, -3.
Strauss?
Man, this is a tough one to bet on just because both these teams suck ass.
Excellent line delivery there.
Yeah, it's rough, man. And we've had a lot of these games past few weeks. But let's see what the community has to say. Right now, the Titans are the favorites for the spread at 3. Let's see. I'm gonna make sure so I don't mess it up here, but 3.5 points is what I see on DraftKings.
I got 3 on BetMGM. So
okay, so 3.5 on DraftKings here. The spread, so 59% of pickers pick the Titans on that. The money line says the Titans will win at 79%. And again, over unders, you got 84% on the over, which is 40. I mean, I could see that a little bit. Both these teams have negative EPA per run and pass, so that basically is a metric that tells you if you have an efficient offense. These teams do not, but they're pretty identical top to bottom in terms of rankings. If you want to hang your hat on something, the Jaguars are 6-5-1 against the spread, and the Titans are 2-10. So I guess I would go. I'd take the Jaguars in this one, even though it's a terrible game. You got to pick somebody. So give me the Jags.
I'll take the Jags too. I think it's an ugly game, but I like that 3 points. I just don't think this game gets much further apart than that. Maybe at any point. No. So I think if you just told me to pick a winner, I'd pick the Titans. But because I'm getting a full field goal there, I'm taking the Jaguars.
Yeah.
I have it as like a 17-14 game. Like I think the field goal is going to get it 3 points. If it were 3.5, I probably would have gone the other way. But because BetMGM is 3, I went with the Titans there, thinking it's going to be a low-scoring, very close game.
Please, Lord, let's not spend more time on it. Jets and Dolphins. Aaron Rodgers heads down to South Beach. You wonder how many of those 3-9 Jets are going to get that South Beach flu that hits so many guys. As they go down to Miami with a pushover interim head coach. It'll be interesting to see. But Jets +6 headed down to Miami. Listen, Miami is not in a great position, but still live for this playoff run. And honestly, if you look at their schedule, not too difficult, not totally outside the realm of possibility that they run the table on this one, which means the Broncos are going to need to fend them off. They're on a bye this week. So big game for the Dolphins to win and kind of close that gap a little bit. Jets +6 down in South Beach. What do you got for it, David?
This one's actually got a lot of injuries that could affect the game. The Jets, C.J. Mosley's out. Sauce Gardner and Breece Hall are both doubtful. And then on the Miami side, Teron Armstead, Chubb, Kohu, and Mostert are all questionable. They didn't have anybody worthwhile out, but they got a lot of people who are banged up. I'm going the Dolphins here at home. The Jets are in complete disarray and don't have much to play for, whereas the Dolphins are last gasp, got to win to stay in. So I'm going Miami here by a touchdown. I'll take the -6.
Sterles?
Let's see. We got the Dolphins are 5-7 against the spread versus the Jets 3-9 against the spread. The community says on the spread, that you should take the Dolphins, 71% on the spread. The money line suggests going with the Dolphins as well at 80%. That's probably your safest bet here. Over under is at 44.5 and 80% on the over, excuse me. I'm gonna take the Jets here, plus the 6.5 on DraftKings. Last week we saw a game with the Jets, and Vegas was kind of like they're fucking with us a little bit, and against who was that against? The Seahawks. And I think that was just like a 1 point. They were just a 1 point favorite, and they played a hell of a game. So I expect the Jets to do something similar to just play really well. It's a division game, so I like those games at like 3.5 points. At 6.5, I'm gonna take the Jets.
Feels like the Jets have been overrated all season in terms of even Vegas. And that happens sometimes with big market teams or really popular teams. There's a Pittsburgh bump. There's a Dallas bump. There used to be a New England bump when Tom Brady was there. And so I think there was a little bit of an Aaron Rodgers, I play in New York bump for the Jets. This feels like the first time to me the spread is right where it should be, which is +6. And I don't think I've said that all year about the Jets. I am hesitant to take the Dolphins, but you've seen the Dolphins versus bad teams. They're the fucking Harlem Globetrotters. Right. I mean, they absolutely mash against bad teams, and I think the Jets are checked out already. So I'll take the Dolphins minus the 6, and we'll see if anybody shows up with a South Beach flu. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. South Beach flu will get you.
Oh, man. And, like, I have talked to pro athletes, and I'm like, is that real? And they're like, listen, I have worked super hard all season. It is freezing cold in my city, and all of a sudden I show up somewhere and it is 80 and sunny, and there are the best bars in the country. You goddamn right, it's a real thing.
Yeah, I'm a 24-year-old millionaire on South Beach.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I'm going to skip a game here and go down to the Saints and the Giants, the other betting special game of the day. What's the worst game that you can find? It might be this one. Saints -5 in New York to play the Giants. I don't have a whole lot to say about this. They've been better since Carr has been back for the Saints. Yeah. Giants have still been a mess no matter who they start at quarterback. Though Drew Lock, in my opinion, definitely makes it more fun. They are getting 5 points at home. Two coaches who probably won't be there at the end of the year. I don't know. Dable might keep his job. But the interim coach for the Saints, I think, is almost definitely out. I would be shocked if they hired another interim, especially with how things are going in Las Vegas right now. And teams that have a couple pieces here and there, but nothing really to write home about. If you want to trade me Malik Neighbors, we'll talk about it, or Burns or Thibodeau. I mean, there's some guys on these teams, but I think everybody's head is kind of somewhere else right now. So Saints and Giants, who you got, David?
I'm not going to go through the injuries. There's nothing huge here. A couple of players that may or may not make a difference to a really bad game. I'm going to take the Saints here. I think they're just running a little bit better. And with Neighbors as a questionable for the Giants, and bad quarterback play, bad coaching, bad situational football, I'm just going to take the Saints.
Charles?
Saints 5-7 against the spread. Giants 3-9 on the spread. The community says take the Saints on the spread. The money line suggests that you should also take the Saints at 89%, over under 66. No, actually it's 81% on the over. So I'm going to go with the Saints here. These teams are atrocious, just horrible. And one silver lining for the Saints, though, they do have a positive EPA per run at 0.02. So maybe if they can get the ground game going, Derek Carr doesn't piss all over his leg, I see them winning this game.
I'll take the 5 points at home. This is nothing more than me taking a home dog right here.
Home dog.
Yeah. Listen, when bettors are this heavy on a favorite like they are on the Saints, it's just kind of a red flag for me. I don't think the NFL fixes games, but if they do,
This is one of them.
This is the kind of game that they fix. One that means absolutely nothing in the standings, and Vegas looks at him and goes, "Hey, listen, buddy, this game means nothing, and we can murder if we get the Giants to get a couple calls here." So I don't know. I'm not saying that they do, but I'll take the Giants home dogs with 5 points.
Is it DeVito or Lock today?
Lock.
I'm thinking it's locked. DeVito was still hurt last I heard. David, did you have that on your injury reports? You see, if DeVito is still out,
still injured. He was questionable. So I would just assume Lock's going to be your guy.
I think it's locked today, is what I heard.
You got him on your fantasy team, Starles?
Definitely not.
No.
All right. Panthers, Eagles, another 11 o'clock game here. Listen.
Ooh,
don't sleep on the Panthers. Yeah, don't sleep on the Panthers. Bryce Young, the benching maybe cleared his head a little bit. It took the national spotlight off him a little bit, took some of the heat off of him. Everybody said, "You're done, end of story." Guess what?
Coming back.
He might be the first or second year quarterback that has been playing the best in the NFL most recently. That includes CJ Stroud. That includes Caleb Williams. That includes Jaden Daniels. That even includes Bo Nix. Over the past couple of weeks, it might be Bryce Young playing the best out of all of them. But on the other side, you've got a true Super Bowl contender, a roster that I am in love with and have been for the past couple of years. Howie Roseman's done an excellent job of putting this roster together. I've loved their drafts. I've loved their free agent pickups. I mean, I think they've been great all around. Eagles minus 13.5 in Philadelphia to play Carolina, one of the hotter teams in the NFL. I can't believe I'm saying that. It's ridiculous. One of the hotter teams in the NFL. Panthers getting 13.5 going to Philly. Who you got, David?
So we got some injuries here to kind of at least think about. For Carolina, their receiver Coker is doubtful. Jadeveon Clowney, Farley, their cornerback, and Josie Jewell all questionable. So that defense, I've got some questions there right now. And for Philly, Blankenship and Brown, the safeties are both questionable. Covey, their receiver, and Dallas Goedert are questionable as well. So I took the Panthers here. Rob, I'm going with your logic. 13.5 is a bit much. Don't get me wrong. Philly could score 50 here, and you go, yeah, that sounds right. But 13.5 is a bit much for me.
Sturls?
Panthers 5-7 against the spread. The Eagles 8-4. Now on DraftKings, that spread is 14 points.
Ooh.
So I'm going to take the Panthers here. One really cool stat about Bryce Young is that his big time throw percentage is 5%, putting him towards the top of the league. So that is a metric where, third down, got to have it downs, big plays, using his arm to fit the ball in tight windows. That's what that metric tells you. So that's big time quarterback play there. Now the Eagles defense we know is extremely good, but I do like to fight in the Panthers. They have a surprisingly decent run game as well. So to supplement that, Adam Thielen, pretty good. So give me the Panthers plus 14 here.
And listen, still a couple of young guys in that secondary. They've been playing well. Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. It's still a vulnerable secondary despite the fact that they've been playing good football. David referenced my rule. Don't tell an NFL team they're 2 scores worse than another NFL team. I just think it's bad business. It's bad to bet against. And the history of that kind of spread would show you that you do better taking the team that gets a free 2 scores out of it. With this being 13.5, I'll absolutely take the free 2 scores. Especially with the way that the Panthers have been playing. They took Kansas City right down to the wire.
To the limit.
Yeah, I mean, they've been playing good football. So I'll take the Panthers plus 13.5. Without
all three of us on the Panthers.
Yeah, sometimes I have to, take a team and be like, oh, I really would prefer not to take the 10 points here, but it's my hard and fast rule. This one I do not feel that way about. I would take the Panthers plus 13.5, even if I didn't have my rule. Okay. Let's jump back up to the one that I skipped here. Atlanta and Minnesota going on at US Bank Stadium up in Minneapolis. Falcons have been struggling, man. Struggling. And I have been saying for the past couple weeks, this feels like a vet team that maybe figures it out, maybe gets right at some point. Well, we're running out of time, folks. 12 games into the season, and it's time to turn it on. Kirk Cousins has had a dog of the last 3 games, but you know what can cure that? What ails you? A trip back home. A trip back home to Minnesota to play the team that let you go. So Falcons +6 headed into Minnesota to play the Vikings. David, what do you got for this one?
Atlanta's running back Chase McClellan's out. Their cornerback Mike Hughes is out and are questionable, and Luke Aroro, the D tackle, is questionable. On the Minnesota side, Stephon Gilmore's out at cornerback, and they have 6 guys that are questionable but likely to play. So I don't think injuries are going to be a huge issue here. I'm going to take the Vikings at home. Kirk Cousins is on the downward trajectory, in my opinion, and Minnesota's played well, maybe not great, but well consistently enough for me to go with them over the Falcons, who have sputtered and won weird games and not played very well and definitely not played consistently.
Sturls?
Oh, boy. I'm going to take the Falcons here. The betting community suggests that you take the Falcons +6 on the spread. The money line obviously would go heavily towards the Vikings at 83%. Over under. People are taking the over in this game. I don't know why. I probably would go on the under there. But give me the Falcons +6 here. Like you said, he has to start playing better. I mean, 3 games in a row, 4 games. I mean, it's been inconsistent all season, but that's kind of Kirk Cousins' game. But yeah, trip back home, 6 points. Give me that. I'll take the Falcons.
Yeah, it's an emotional bet for me too. Not for me personally, but what I'm betting on is the emotions to play out here, and that Kirk Cousins is going to want to come in and have a day. So I'm going to take the Falcons too. I'm going to take the 6 points, and David loves that he's alone on the Vikings here.
Fuck you both. Skull. Skull.
But listen.
Skull.
But listen, the Vikings are a team that hasn't really impressed me yet. And there's been a couple times this season that's like, maybe I need to soften on the Vikings. Maybe they are actually a good team. I think they're just really well coached. I don't know how good of a team they actually are. So let's ride the emotional wave. And I'll take the 6 points for the Falcons up in Minnesota. Okay. Skipping back down to the Browns and Steelers. Browns and Jameis Winston getting a full touchdown versus the Steelers as they head to Pittsburgh. They haven't won in Pittsburgh. Now, granted, I heard this stat like 4 or 5 days ago, so if I misquote it, please forgive me. But they haven't won in Pittsburgh since, like, I think it was 2002. What I know is Tim Couch was the starter for the Cleveland Browns the last time they won in Pittsburgh. And it just, like, the guy to break that streak is Jameis Winston, isn't it? I mean, come on now.
Right.
if anybody is going to be really weird and win in Pittsburgh, it's going to be him. What a game from him the other night, both ways. I mean, it made you say, wow, that's impressive, and put your head in your hands and be shocked from the game from Jameis Winston on Monday Night Football. Steelers, man, I reluctantly have to start saying good things about them, I guess. I don't know, man. It feels like another paper tiger to me. The defense is good. I don't know if the defense is great. But it's real solid, real good. And their offense, there they are, putting up 40-something points last week against the Bengals. And
Sturls, I apologize. You said you smashed the over, and Rob and I were both like, in an AFC North game, point. Never going to happen. And then when you texted us at the end of the first quarter, and you're like, we just hit the over. I was like, okay, fuck me. I don't know anything.
Like 80 points in that game, Sturls.
Wild. It's wild, man. Look, Russell Wilson's just playing good football. He really man.
Let's not go too far here.
No, but he's doing what they need him to do. It's like Russ can do like 3 things well, right? Mm-hmm. And he does them very well. And they're going to score points. I think, if you're looking for under-over, I'd probably take the over in this one too.
I mean, 43 is low for these two teams where it's been offensive fireworks the past couple weeks.
Yeah.
Of course,
But
Jameis is going to throw 2 touchdowns to the other team. So,
But those are
for
points.
sure. Yeah, you gotta account for those. But let's look at the community here. 64% says they're gonna take the Steelers. Money line suggests you take the Steelers as well at 94%. Over under, you got 85 on the over. I'm going to go with the Browns plus 6.5 here. This is a division game. I like those games to be close, just with the familiarity. So Browns on the road plus 6.5.
David, what do you got for the injury report?
The Browns D tackle Hurst, I think, just went on IR. So that defensive line is not going to be quite the same. They're not going to get the same pressure. Also, their wide receiver Tillman is out. For Pittsburgh, their D tackle Adams is out, and Pickens is questionable. Now, they still have that giant tight end Washington. They've still got a good running game. They've got some other receivers. I'm a little less worried about it. I'm actually going to go – I wish it was 6.5 because I would take that. But with BetMGM, it's a 7-point spread. I'm taking the Steelers.
Yeah, up to 7 on BetMGM, which makes me want to go the other way, David. I'm going to take that full 7 and take the Browns. Listen, they've proved they can score. So,
Yep.
That is what it is. I think one of their best weapons is their tight end room. And I feel like you can kind of take advantage of the Steelers in that way. I haven't looked it up. I don't have metrics to support that. That's just my eye test.
Their linebackers aren't great against tight ends.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
In coverage in specific. So I feel like that's going to be an easily exploitable thing for Jameis to get after today. So I think they keep it close, and the 7 is enough for me to take the Browns.
And let's not forget that the Browns did beat the Steelers a couple weeks ago as well. So
And
all right,
that's
that game
yeah.
barely counts.
still,
But also
still.
the right now the Steelers are fighting for a top seeding in the AFC. I think this means a whole bunch to them. I know Jameis is probably going to play a little more conservative after going, 500 yards and a bunch of touchdowns, but a couple pick sixes that killed us. I think he's going to tone it down. So I don't think they're going to score the same. It's not going to look like that Denver game.
Listen, I think the AFC is going to get really annoying here because I think it's going to kind of pan itself out in most places where the end of the season is really not going to mean much.
Right.
And I think that's going to include the Steelers dropping a game or two here and kind of falling out of that, can I get to the 1, can I get to the 2 conversation.
They have a tough schedule. The Steelers, I'll look it up while we move on to the next one, but the Steelers' remaining schedule is rough.
I know they play, so they're one of the teams that does the Saturday and then the Wednesday they play Kansas City on Christmas. I know that.
Yep.
So they got a couple tough games.
All right, so here we go. Against the Browns this week, then against the Eagles in Philadelphia, against the Ravens in Baltimore, Chiefs coming to Pittsburgh, and then Bengals coming to Pittsburgh.
And also currently right now,
so this is a game I think they need to win.
The Steelers have a 98% chance to make the playoffs, according to the New York Times playoff predictor, and 62% to win the division. So we'll see.
And that's going to be the key.
Yep.
Whether it's Ravens or Steelers, whoever has home field there is, I think, the dangerous team. And whichever one of them has to go on the road, I feel like it's going to be tough sledding. So I think winning the division is big there, and I think it's still wide open who wins the AFC North. All right, your final 11 o'clock game of the day, Las Vegas heads to Tampa Bay. It is a west going east technically because they are technically in the Pacific time zone in Las Vegas. 4 and 11 o'clock start. Raiders getting 6.5. Listen, man, they have been so Jekyll and Hyde. Sometimes they put together a real good effort, and sometimes they just take a dump right on the floor.
Every other game.
It's not exactly every other game, but it is close. They played the Broncos a couple weeks ago and just looked like absolute garbage.
Terrible.
No, they looked awful. And then they turn around and they give the Chiefs all they can handle. And of course, to our chagrin,
knock it up at the end.
Something incredible happens to give the Chiefs the victory at the end when they should be kicking a game-winning field goal. Now, listen, the kid had missed a bunch of them, so there's no guarantee that he hits, but they should have at least had a shot at it, had an attempt at it. Heartbreaking loss for them, but it was a Friday game, which gives them 2 extra days to prepare for this one. Bucks, listen, they're alive still. And that's crazy because I don't think they play
Doesn't make
good
any
football
sense.
in a few weeks. But
Nope.
Atlanta hasn't run away with it. Tampa Bay hasn't run away with it. I mean, listen, the Saints are in the rearview mirror at 4-8. Like, it's possible they get back into it here if these two teams keep playing like dog piss. So here we are. All of a sudden, the Buccaneers have a home game against one of the worst teams in the league who wants Shedeur Sanders to be their quarterback. Bucks minus 6.5 at home with a game they got to have. David, what do you got for this one?
Raiders cornerback Hobbs, Zaire White, the running back, Bills famous now tight end Justin Shorter is questionable. So is Jacoby Myers. On the Tampa Bay side, Kenny Britt, Mike Edwards, their cornerback Hill, and their linebacker Watt are out with 6 others questionable. So still a really banged up team, which may explain some of the reason why they haven't played consistent football. I just think the Raiders are bottom of the barrel. This isn't a team that they play very often. So I'm going to go the Buccaneers here. I don't love it. 6.5 at BetMGM is not great. But I just feel like the Raiders don't have it in them and would rather get good draft picks. So give me the Buccaneers minus 6.5.
Yeah, they're screaming for Shedeur. Sterls, what do you got here?
Real quick, the Bucks with a win today ups their chances to make the playoffs to 62%. Raiders 5-7 against the spread. Bucks 7-5. Baker Mayfield in this passing game is pretty good. I mean, it's pretty decent. They have an positive EPA per pass.
You just reeled that right back in.
I'm trying to find some silver linings here.
Pretty good, pretty decent.
It's pretty good-ish. It's Baker Mayfield-ish. It's what Baker does.
Easy on Baker, dog. Listen, he's been without his 2 best wide receivers for a majority of the season.
Rob, nobody cares.
I think you got to give him a little bit of credit for getting the offense together and still putting up points.
That's why I say it's pretty good-ish because, he doesn't have his full, talent and weapons here. But Mike Evans continues to produce, so you can hang your hat on that.
But even he missed a couple games this season.
Absolutely, for sure.
And he's trying to get to 1,000 yards again to keep his streak alive since he entered the league. So I think Baker's going to try and feed the shit out of him. And I don't think the Raiders have anybody who's going to cover him well. So,
which isn't a bad game plan.
Give me Baker 2 touchdowns to Mike Evans.
Sterling Shepard. If you want to, I think they're going to throw the ball to him a lot today. The betting community says 66% with the Bucks. Money line 86% with the Bucks. Over under, people are taking the over at 47%. Minus 6.5 with the Bucks. That's tough. That's a tough one. But go ahead and give me the Bucks minus 6.5.
Pick the Raiders, you coward.
No, I'm not. I'm not going to do that today. I'm gonna take the Bucks minus 6.5, and we'll see what happens.
Don't make
Rob.
This. Don't paint baby in a corner.
Oh, baby's in a corner. Everybody puts baby in a corner.
I won't. We'll stay the same on this one, which means you can go ahead and lock it in now. Raiders plus
Raiders
6.5.
win by 10.
Yeah, because I am gonna go with Tampa Bay minus 6.5. I think they know what this game means. Their running game has been better. Yeah, man, it's been interesting, but yeah, I'll take Tampa Bay and lay the points. Where's the Bills watch group? I want to stop by and say, oh yeah, you said you're going to be in Denver this week. Listen, we're doing a tailgate
Stoney's Uptown.
Party. Yeah, it's Stoney's Uptown. There's 2 different Stoney's. There's Stoney's OG and Stoney's Uptown. We're at Stoney's Uptown. It's like 17th and Park. I'll be wearing this, so come get me and introduce yourself because I don't even really know what you look like, but but yeah, the 2 of us are hard to miss. So come by, say what's up to us if you want to come down to the tailgate party. We will be down there starting around 10:30 a.m. here Mountain Time. Okay, biggest game of the afternoon, maybe biggest game of the day, and I feel like nobody's going to watch it. Seahawks plus 2.5 at Arizona to play the Cardinals. Listen, NFC West kind of on the line here. Seahawks in the
Everything.
lead in that division. Cardinals and Rams right behind them at 6-6, and then the Niners bringing up the real rear, but still in it at 5-7. Huge game in Arizona today. Arizona already went to Seattle and dropped a game up there. So if they lose this game, they lose the tiebreaker. Can't have it. Cardinals got to have this game today if they want to stay in it to win the division. And then also, if you're talking about the wild card race, I mean, Washington only a couple games up there on Arizona and Seattle for that final wild card spot in the NFC. This is a huge, huge game. If the Seahawks win, they drive a wedge between them and maybe everybody else if LA loses today in the NFC West. And if the Cardinals win, we are just in a mishmash until the end of the season. It's going to be a tight race all the way through. David, who you got for this one?
Not a lot of injuries to speak of. Seattle's, I think he's the right tackle. Forsythe is out. Kenneth Walker, questionable. He's been kind of banged up for the last 6-7 weeks. Nobody ruled out currently for Arizona, and 3 questionable. I like what the Seahawks are doing. You're right. The Cardinals do need this win, I think, more than Seattle does, but Seattle wants to drive that wedge. They know that that division is not great, and if you can kind of wall off one of your counterparts in the Cardinals, you take the second win against them in Arizona, God, you're not locking up the division, but it's going to make it real hard for anybody else. It's also, if you wind up losing the division somehow, even if you win this game, this is going to be big for the playoff seeding. So give me the Seahawks, 2.5, plus 2.5.
Getting 2.5 there. Sterls,
Love
what
it.
about you?
Man, I've been a pseudo quiet Cardinals fan all season. But I'm gonna go with the Seahawks here. Let's see, plus 2.5, and on the money line is plus 120. So division game is gonna be close. Cardinals 8-4 against the spread. Seahawks 5-6-1. The quarterback play, these guys have been pretty much identical in terms of their ratings and where they fare against each other. The spread suggests that you go 71% is on the Seahawks, money line 58% on the Cardinals, over under 70% on the over.
All right.
And you?
Give me the Seahawks. I'm gonna go.
Seahawks.
I'm gonna go 2.5 with the Seahawks.
Okay, well, good. So I'll split it then, because I'm gonna go Cardinals here. Listen, I think this is a Jonathan Gannon game. I think, we all saw that one clip of him giving a speech about taking the bus. How'd you get here today? Take the bus. Blah blah blah. Everybody that I have talked to that knows anything about that organization or anything about him in his coaching career has said he is a master motivator. He is a dude. He's the kind of guy that guys like to play for. So, I think we have a bad picture of him in our head based on a social media video, because it's not like the Cardinals get a ton of coverage nationally. But I think he's a good coach, and I think he's going to have his boys ready to go at home today. So I think there's a reason. You kind of look at it and you're like, man, Cardinals minus 2.5. That doesn't feel right. I'll take the 2.5 points. No, I'm going to say Vegas is on it here and knows what they're doing. I'm going to say Cardinals by a field goal, and they get the win here to tighten that NFC West up, because you know why? Because the NFL needs a Sunday night football game for the final week of the season, and it's going to be an NFC West clincher. I can almost smell it right now. Gross. All right, Bears and 49ers, your other game of the afternoon. Bears plus 3 points headed to San Francisco. And actually, it would be an interesting game. If this happened to be like a Thursday night game and I was forced to watch it, I'd be actually kind of excited to watch this. With as many injuries as the 49ers have, they are down on the Bears level. And you wonder if the Bears take a little bit of juice from taking a 10-1 Lions team all the way down to the wire. Now, listen, their coach got fired because he made huge mistakes.
Big mistakes.
Huge. I mean, unforgivable, as seen by the fact that he got fired for it.
Right.
But that being said, there's normally a coaching bump, interim head coach bump. Caleb Williams has been playing better while the now interim coach has been calling plays for him. 49ers have been injured and struggling. And so this is two teams going different directions, and yet I think meeting right at where this is going to be a pretty good football game. So it'll be interesting to watch. David, who you got for this one?
I got some injuries here. Chicago's O-line's a little bit beat up. Ryan Bates, former Buffalo Bill, is definitely out. Their
every time
Hicks,
somebody had played for the Bills, you don't have to tell people that.
I'm telling everybody. Rick Bates. And DJ Moore and DeAndre Swift are questionable. Then you look at San Francisco.
Former Eagle, DeAndre Swift. Former Eagle and Lion, DeAndre
Former
Swift.
Georgia Bulldog.
Ooh. And then San Francisco's in rough shape. Obviously, McCaffrey's on IR. He's done for the season.
Former Panther, Christian McCaffrey.
Their backup running back, Mason, who did really well spelling
Tennessee
McCaffrey.
Volunteer, Jordan Mason.
There you go. Trent Williams is out again. That's 2
Former
weeks
Washington
in a row,
Commander. They were the Redskins back then, though.
You can't say that.
It's offensive.
Greenlaw is out as well, and Bosa is
Did
doubtful.
Greenlaw play for anybody else? Ohio State Buckeye, Nick Bosa. Did Greenlaw play for anybody else, or has he always been a Niner? I think he's
always been a Niner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So lots of
And I don't know where
injuries.
he went to college, so you're off the hook for that one.
South Carolina.
Greenlaw?
Jesus.
That's why he's the draft guy. All right, so now that we've wasted a whole bunch of time doing that, David, who you got on this one?
Give me the Bears. I think the
Look
coaching
at
bump
you.
is real. I think the injuries to the Niners is real. And I think the Bears should take some pride in how they played last week and hopefully roll that into this week and do something about it.
Sterls?
So real quick on the Bears, the last 3 games, okay? Against the Packers, they lost by a point. Against the Vikings, they lost by 3 points. And against the Lions, they lost by 3 points. I just think that the Bears, they're gonna get over the hump today. I'm gonna go with the Bears as well. Currently, the Bears are 7-4-1 against the spread, so that's pretty good. Whereas the 49ers are 4-8. The community suggests that you take the Bears with the spread at 66%. The money line is with the 49ers at 73%. And the over-under, 80% of bettors are taking the over in this game. So I'm going to go with the Bears +3.
More than happy to be sitting on the other side of the fence by myself. I'm going to take my nice little cup of coffee and sit on that Niners side. Hey, guess what? There's one of these teams that's still live for the playoffs. That is the San Francisco 49ers. They are not as bad as they looked last week. 1, give a little bit of credit to the Buffalo Bills. But 2, let's talk about the elements. Not only did they lose their top 2 running backs, but the snow absolutely affected that game last week. I think it's one you just wash away and you don't consider much for betting purposes moving forward. That being said, listen, this team's still live for the NFC West race. And like I said, I think that's going to come down to the final week of the season. Brock Purdy didn't have to do much last week, couldn't do much last week. Totally fine. Really more of a rest week for that shoulder, and I think they should have sat him anyway. I said that before the game with the conditions the way that they were. So another week healthier. I'm going to take the 49ers.
With no running backs.
Not in that team. It don't matter.
The kid from Louisville is going to run for 150 yards today. Okay?
Isaac Guerrendo.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they don't have any running backs. And like Sterl said, in that scheme, for the past decade, it hasn't mattered. For the past 30 years, it hasn't mattered who the running back is in that scheme. Give me Olandis Gary. Give me Mike Anderson. Give me Raheem Mostert, who's actually pretty decent.
I was like...
Okay, but you get the point. I mean, there has been plenty of backs that make that system work for their advantage. So I will take the Niners -3. All right, and then our boys, the Buffalo Bills. I will tell everybody ahead of time, I have rose-colored glasses. I do not place a bet on the Bills because I just think they're always going to win. So take that for what it will, but I'll break the game down for you here. Rams 6-6. Listen, a bunch of those losses came when they had nobody. Everybody was on the injured list. And so really, if you want to talk about what kind of team they are, they're really like a 5-2, 5-3 team. And so that's kind of in my head how you should view them. 3.5, they're getting 3.5 at home in LA, but it's probably going to be a hostile environment. That Bills crowd travels well, and that LA stadium always gets taken over. It doesn't matter who it is. So you can bet Bills Mafia is going to be there this afternoon. Wouldn't you want to take a sunny vacation to SoCal in December if you live in Buffalo? Like
after 3 feet of snow? Yeah.
Takeover.
Exactly
The takeover is coming. So yeah, Josh Allen and the Bills minus 3.5, headed to LA. Who you got here, David?
So Keon Coleman's going to be a game time decision. Dalton Kincaid is out. He's not going to play today. Quentin Morris is injured. I worry a little bit about our tight end room. But then when you go over to the other side, the Rams, their tackle Leviston is definitely going to be out. Tyler Higbee's out. Jared Verse, Defensive Rookie of the Year candidate here, is questionable, and that terrifies any Rams fan right now. And Alaric Jackson, their other tackle, is questionable. So some issues on the offensive line. If Jared Verse is less than 100%, I could not be happier. Give me Buffalo by 3.5 here.
Strolls?
All right, Bills 8-4 against the spread. Rams 5-7. The community suggests that you take the Bills with the spread with that 3.5 money line. Also with the Bills at 81%. Over under is people are taking the over on this game at 73%. I would take the under on this game. Look, I mean, we know what Josh Allen brings to the table. This offense is humming, positive EPA in both categories. Whereas the Rams are negative 0.06 EPA per run. So that just tells you that their run game isn't that good. It's not efficient. So yeah, give me the Bills. I'm gonna juice the spread on this one. I'm gonna take it to 6.5 because I think the Bills are gonna at least beat them by 10 points. But I'm gonna take the 6.5. So I'm not going with the 3.5 with the Rams. And people are saying, I just think, there's not a better team in the league right now than the Buffalo Bills. And that's not a homer take. I mean, that's just what they've shown us. So give me the Bills plus 6.5 in this game. And let's go.
Which means you can cash the Rams, because I also think the Bills are going to win this game and think that they are going to win it running away. Listen, Josh Allen is used to late in his careers, late in seasons, playing in awful weather the majority of the time. Whether it's in New England, in New York, in Buffalo, most of the time he's playing in some shitty weather somewhere. He's got 2 games here in domes and one in 70-degree SoCal. I think he's absolutely going to torch the LA Rams today in his bid for his first NFL MVP. So give me the Bills minus the 3.5. I'll lay it all day long. All right, we only got a couple minutes here, so we got to fly through. So I'm actually going to skip forward to the Monday Night Football game because I don't want to spend too much time on it, and I know we're going to want to spend time on Chiefs and Chargers. So Bengals and Cowboys on Monday Night Football. The only reason this game is still in there is because they did animations for The Simpsons that they couldn't redo for somebody else.
They put too much work into it.
I know. Bengals minus 5.5, headed down to Dallas. Listen, strange to say, Dallas still in the playoff race, and Bengals an outside shot at it too. But Cooper Rush you make the faces all you want. Cooper Rush is coming off a 10-day break and a 2-game win streak for those Dallas Cowboys, who have seemingly turned things around.
Question mark? I'm
Bengals minus 5.5 in Dallas. Who you got, David?
Some injuries here. Orlando Brown, the tackle for Cincinnati. Sheldon Rankins and Logan Wilson, the linebacker, all did not practice.
What did I say? Don't spend too much time on it.
We don't have if they're in or out. Right now, I'm going to go the Bengals. I think they are further away and need this win. Dallas isn't doing much for me. They've looked good enough to win, but I can't. So I'm going to go the Bengals here. Minus 5.5.
Sterles.
Bengals in a landslide here against, a middle line defense. Bengals have the best offense in the league, passing game at least. Burrow's going to go crazy on these guys, so give me the Bengals -5.5.
Which means once again you can book it. The Cowboys are going to win this game in dominating fashion. Listen, the Bengals have actually been playing well against good teams. The problem is their defense. But it's strength versus weakness and weakness versus weakness in this game. And the only strength for anybody in this game is that Bengals offense, which is absolutely going to hum on Monday Night Football. So I'll take the Bengals -5.5 as well. All right, let's talk about the Chargers and the Chiefs. Probably the game of the day if you went down the lineup here. Chargers getting 4 points going into Arrowhead. The Chargers need this game for seeding. And what's real sad about it is if the Chiefs had lost any of those games that they pulled right out of their butthole, this would be a game to close the gap in the division and maybe send the Chiefs on the road as a wild card for the majority of the NFL playoffs. Instead, the Chiefs are 11-1, but what the Chargers can do is make sure they don't get a bye, and I think the Chargers want to do that. So Chargers heading into Arrowhead, getting 4 points. What do you got, David?
So for this game, Denzel Perryman and McConkey are questionable. Nobody marked out. Kansas City, Mecole Hardman, the receiver, is questionable. That's all they had there. I hate the Chiefs against the spread. It seems like it's a 1 point or 3 point game. Getting more than that is enough for me. This Chargers team's playing well. It's against a division opponent, which is always going to be close. Give me the 4 points. I'll take the Chargers +4.
Sterles.
Chargers +4 for me. The community suggests that you go with the Chargers at 61% on the spread. Money line is the Chiefs at 75%. Over under 86% on the over. I think this is going to be a Harbaugh game. He's going to get Justin Herbert in the right headspace, which is going to be huge. So give me the Chargers in this one.
I like the Chargers too. So go ahead, book it. Chiefs find a way to pull this one out of their ass. Pitchy, woo, touchdown, picks. I don't know. Something stupid's going to happen. No, listen. Harbaugh has put these guys in a position to just play real solid football. And we all knew they had a really good quarterback, and that's what's bearing itself out. They're running the ball. They're playing solid defense. They still have plenty of talent on that defensive side of the ball.
Yep.
I mean, those guys didn't go nowhere. So, I feel like if you looked at how these teams have played throughout the course of the season, the Chargers are the better team. But nobody wants to say that because Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid are on the other side. So instead, everybody's just saying, well, I'll take the 4 points. Let's just be honest about it. The Chargers are the better football team right now. I don't care that the Chiefs are 11-1. I don't.
Right. I think that the Chargers actually win this game, not just against the spread. If you look at these, betting against the spread last week, beat the Raiders by 2. The week before, barely beat the Panthers with a field goal, so won by 3. Lost to the Bills by 9. Beat the Broncos by 2 with a field goal shenanigans at the end. The last time they won by anything more was the Buccaneers, and they won by 6. So a 4-point spread for me feels good.
And remember, the Buccaneers had a 2-point conversion
right
to win that game and not send it to overtime. And instead they decided to send it to overtime. And that's why they won by 6. So even that game was right down to the final moments. This Chiefs team does not cover. They don't do it. So if this is the week they turn it on and we start seeing that, we can flip the switch, we're the playoff Chiefs, then great. But I haven't seen it yet, and I'm not going to bank on the fact that we're going to. That +4 is pretty cushy. What do you got on what do you got, DraftKings, FanDuel? What do you got?
Let me pull it back up here. I'll tell you.
Because on BetMGM, on BetMGM it's 4. Okay. Even the 3.5, I'd feel good about. I'd feel good about having the hook. Feel even better about having the 4 with that touchdown split. And listen, if you're feeling saucy, I would absolutely take moneyline Chargers, like David was saying. I might even put that in a little 3-dog parlay, I bet. So
+180.
I did.
+165. You got 2 other dog bets that you need to tell us about, David? Because I haven't put mine together yet, but I'm all ears.
We'll discuss it at the tailgate. Anybody who
Hold
wants
on,
some
I
great
got you.
betting
Let's
advice.
do it real quick. Let's do it real
Let's throw
quick.
one together.
Let's do one. So we get the Chargers plus 180.
Yeah.
Let's go with the Seahawks plus
I like the
120.
Seahawks plus one. Oh, that's 130 for BetMGM.
And then the Jags 142.
I don't know if I like that.
I don't love that.
I don't know.
Jets 240.
Falcons plus 225. I don't hate that one. Let's see what else.
Browns plus 245.
Browns plus 240. I don't hate.
I could be into
Bears
that.
Bears plus 145. I don't hate. Those are the ones that I don't hate.
So
I'm definitely going Chargers, right?
Yep. I'm going Bears. I think the Bears are going to win.
We all like Seahawks plus 130.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'll take the Bears for my third here.
You like the Bears for your third? Sterls, what
Yep.
do you like for your third here?
I got the Chargers, Seahawks, and Jags.
He's going Jags. Ah, man, I'm in
going
between.
Falcons?
Yeah,
I can't do that. I can't do the
I'm
Falcons on
thinking
that.
about going Falcons here. Now, so what we're doing here, fam, is money line bets on 3 underdogs, and you just put a little bit of cash on it because your number turns out to be huge. So, you're taking a long
so
shot.
if you were to
here,
add a
but-
fourth to that, like if let's say you took the Jets, the odds of that is plus 4,968. $10 pays $506. Don't do
please,
it.
Lord,
Don't
put
do it.
$10 on it.
Yeah, this is one where you want to
50.
put $1 or $2 on it.
All right, so
50-cent minimum bet is all I'm saying.
I just placed it. I got $2 on it. It's plus 4,753. I got Falcons, Seahawks, Bears, and Chargers all money line. And if I get to that night game with the Chargers money line, I'm gonna hedge the shit out of that bet.
Facts, dog. Facts.
All right, we got to get out of here. We are doing the tailgate party down at Stoney, so David and I got to run. But we appreciate you joining us for your NFL pregame show. We do it every Sunday morning, 8 o'clock Mountain, 10 o'clock Eastern. So make sure you come back and join us. If you get to the show late, you can always rewatch it on YouTube or on Twitch. It lives there for a little while afterwards. For David, for Sterling, I am Rob Trigilio. You can see all our handles right there. Give us a follow on social media, and we love you. Go Bills.